Okay, right, in this 5-minute or so video, I'm just going to run through a quick refresher on how to coat a screen. So, you've got your screen, it's clean, it's dry. I recommend checking it against the light and just double checking, looking for blockages, dried in ink, and any damage. I can see on this screen there's a tiny hole there and a tiny hole there. Nothing in the middle of the screen that's going to affect the print quality, so I'm happy to use it. Okay, you place the screen in the area that it's going to be coated, and you do it that way round, not that way. So the way round that it's facing you. And if you look here, there's a little channel. You stand it in there, and it's secure. Next thing you do is put a pair of gloves on. And the reason that we wear gloves is the chemical that we're using is called azocol Z1, and it's irritant if you get it on your skin. So this is to protect your skin, and it's mandatory that everyone coating a screen puts on a pair of gloves. If you can't find gloves, come and find a member of staff, and we'll make sure you've got some gloves. And also gloves that fit. Okay, so the chemical itself lives in a pot here, and because it's light sensitive, the lid is always closed. The chemical is liquid, and it's called screen emulsion. It's predominantly PVA glue. The active ingredient is called diazo. That's what turns it into a stencil when you expose it to ultraviolet light. The safety data sheet for this chemical is located here. So if you ever need to check out what you're using, the chemical data sheet's there. There are also bullet points here explaining how to do the process that I'm doing with you now. Okay, so you're ready to coat. You need to choose yourself a coating trough. Coating troughs tend to live here, or they'll be over there by the sink. Check they're dry, check for any damage, and check they're clean. Then you're ready to go. You need to choose the correct size. That size is too big because it's just going to coat up the metal frame. So you're going to go up and down like that, so choose one that's smaller than the size of the screen. So that's a good one. If you look at a trough, just run your finger up and down, check for any lumps and bumps, make sure it's nice and smooth. And let's do this. That's the back. That's the front. So that's the angly side that you want to be touching the mesh. So you pour in about half a trough. Put the lid back on to stop the light getting in. Make sure it's sort of sealed. Okay, you're holding the trough that way round. You put the trough on at the bottom, just above where the metal frame finishes, so straight onto the mesh. Tilt it so the chemical runs forwards, and then as soon as it's touching the mesh, lift it up to the top, the sort of medium pressure. When you get to the top, stop before you get to the metal frame, lean it back, wiggle it side to side and take it off. So that has now coated the screen. You might have thick bits on the edges. So what you can do is get yourself a piece of card out of that bucket there and just flatten down any sort of thick bits. And the reason you do that is just to speed up the drying process. So that now is a wet coated screen. It's light sensitive, so it needs to go in the dryer. Screens that have just been coated like this go in the top dryer. So there's two dryers, one for wet screens, one for coated. It needs to go in the top one. Open the door, put it in there, that way up, not that way, so that way up. Put it in the dryer, shut the door so it's nice and dark, nice and warm. That will be dry and ready to expose in about 5 minutes. Always coat your screens when you're ready to go, because if you leave them in there, they'll bake. So don't leave them in there for more than half an hour if you can help it. So what you're left with is the trough, and because this chemical is light sensitive, we need to put it back in the trough. So we've got these spatulas that are here, and this is an expensive chemical, emulsion, so you want to try and salvage as much as you can and get it back in the pot. And then get the lid, get a seal on the pot and put it back there ready for the next person. Little bits of card you can throw in the bin. So you need to wash this, last thing. So take it over to the sink and slowly turn on the hot tap. And I say slowly, that's just to stop the water going into the trough and spraying back in your face. And you can use hot water, it will just make it come off a bit quicker. So remove all of the chemical and then take it back ready for the next person to use. So put your spatula back in the pot, get a rag and just remove any water that's in there so that the next person comes along doesn't contaminate theirs with water. And put your trough back there ready for the next person. Finally, you finish with this chemical in its wet form, so it's no longer a hazard to your skin. You can take your gloves off, put them in the bin, wait for 5 minutes and you can expose, and I'll do that video next.